Welcome to the Middle-Raged podcast, where your hosts, Adam and Keith, get a bit cross about stuff that really doesn't matter. Bless them. Oh, and we should probably warn you that things can be a bit sweary at times.
Hello and welcome to this episode 19 of the Middle-Raged podcast with me, Adam Eccles, and my co-host, Keith A. Pearson. Good morning.
It is a morning. It is a Sunday morning, no less.
Yes, where our schedule is changing again, and here we are on a Sunday, gloriously dull morning. Just look, the nice grey sky out the window, and it's freezing. So,
yes,
it's one of those February.
Although I would say that I have noticed daffodil. They're hardy bastards. Daffodils. They don't piss around, do they? As soon as there's
previous, yeah.
Well, premature daffodils are a thing. I've noticed them sort of poking out the ground. Yeah, so fair play to daffodils, but that's a good sign, isn't it? It means
I suppose so. Spring has sprung.
Yeah, I don't mind spring. Spring's all right, isn't it? As a season.
Yeah, spring is good.
Not too offensive.
Yeah, not too cold, not too hot.
Yeah.
No stupid insects around.
Chocolate.
Yeah, yeah. That brings me that the other February thing, right? You know, February made me shiver with all the papers I deliver.
Yes.
But otherwise,
bad news on the doorstep.
Yeah, couldn't take one more step. Anywho,
we probably owe someone money now for that.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Don McLean is probably.
It was Don McLean, yeah.
I think he's still alive.
Well, if he isn't, his estate will be after us.
Fair enough. Anyway,
yeah,
so the other February thing that I just wanted to stuff in here. It's almost V-Day, you know, Valentine's Day, where the supermarkets guilt you into buying chocolates and cards and flowers. Yeah, stupid little stuffy toy things for your significant other. And it's always all these stupid holidays, right? Like what they call the Hallmark holidays.
Yes.
It's all about guilt, isn't it? It's like if you don't get these things for your significant other, well, then you're a miserable prick. But if you do, and then it's like, well, do you only care one day a year? The rest of the year, well, I'll fucking tolerate
this
you.
This sounds like an argument you've had at some juncture to try and justify a lack of card and or flowers.
I try not to get into it because, like, it's a slippery slope, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, then you've got to plan dinner, and it's just a whole thing. But yeah, the supermarkets and whatever, they take advantage of these things to leverage and guilt you into buying stuff. Buying crap,
not
basically.
Me. I can walk straight past those displays, completely oblivious.
Fair enough. Well, that's the way to be. Because it's all crap, right? So I you know, if you love somebody, then presumably you do that all year, not just on one day. So just something to think about there.
Thank you for that relationship advice, and tune in next week. We'll be talking about matters of the bedroom.
There you go. Oh, Christ.
Right, let's move on from that, I think, swiftly.
People should absolutely not take relationship advice from me. But anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Us, I would say, more broadly.
Yeah, there you go. So, dear listeners, this is a little bit different to a previous episode. I mean, we keep changing the format, right? But this isn't really a format change. But we're going to talk about something that we do every day and that we sort of haven't talked about yet after 18 episodes. So,
masturbation.
I think we have.
Oh, sorry.
We probably have talked about that, but every day, yeah, God, dear me. No, this is our literary episode. So we both write books, believe it or not, some of the time, or all of the time, or most of the time. And
too much time.
Yeah, too much time. So and we've been doing it for a while now. How long have you been doing it now? 9 years?
Well, I'm coming up for 9 years since I started my first book, first novel. But this is the 5th year now. I'm just about to hit the 5th year anniversary of the time I actually became a full-time writer of stuff, author, I guess. So
author, podcaster, general bloke,
general bloke.
So well, that's pretty good though. 5 years of just being an author. So so I'm not independent enough to be full time yet, but I think it was 2018, was it?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so I'm 7 years. Wow, didn't realise that.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's so. So anyway, so consequently, between us, I suppose we have almost 30 books, something like that.
I think it's getting
not
on
quite,
for that,
but nearly. Yeah, so
and we've made a lot of mistakes, haven't we?
Oh yeah,
and still are.
Yes, I mean that's how you learn, right? That's fine. You make mistakes, you learn, and you move on, right? So this episode, we're going to talk all about books and authory stuff. So if you're thinking about writing a book, and honestly, who isn't?
I don't think I've ever met anyone who, when I've told them what I do, they've said, I've got this idea for a book.
Yeah, everyone's got an idea, right? So, and there's quite a big difference between having an idea and thinking you're going to write the book, but then actually writing it, right?
Jesus,
so we'll get into all of that.
Obviously, in our usual ranty, moany, complaining way.
Definitely.
Essentially, what we've done is we've taken all of the stuff involved in getting from thinking about a book to actually having one on a shelf somewhere, and decided to pick out all the bits that we like moaning about.
That's right. Yeah.
For your listening pleasure. But I think actually more broadly, this will be an opportunity for people who may be thinking about doing it to avoid some of the mistakes we've made. And,
there you go. Yeah.
And to get, actually, it's a bit of a, what would you call it? A warts and all overview.
Warts and warts, yeah.
Just warts, really, isn't it? Yeah. There is
mainly.
No all. It's just us moaning.
We might touch on the nice things, the nice things. They're few and far between, I suppose, but
we would hope it would be constructive. So, there'll be stuff in here that is of use to you if you are thinking about taking that journey. But if you're just a reader, if you just like reading books, there's hopefully going to be stuff we cover that you think, I did not know that.
People like the documentaries, don't they? The making of.
Yes.
So maybe this is like the making of a book.
It will be a really poor version of that. Yes, I can see it.
DVD extras.
So either way, right? If you've got no interest in books, then that says a lot about you, doesn't it? I'm afraid.
I tell you what, a good book will keep you entertained for 8-10 hours altogether. And a movie at best is probably 2 hours, something like that, right? So I reckon a book is cheaper than a movie.
Do you know what I like about books, right? This is the one thing that I think is underplayed, is that it's almost impossible for you to read and think about other shit. Or listen, for that matter. You've got to concentrate, haven't you?
Yes.
So if you need to escape your own head for a while, I don't think there is anything better than... Because even if you're watching TV or a film or whatever, your mind will drift.
Phone in your hand or whatever,
but you can't do that with a book. It's one of the very few things these days which actually keeps someone's attention...
That's it.
Laser focused, because you can't do it otherwise.
Yeah. It's a direct link to the brain, isn't it?
Yes. Have you ever done that thing where you've read like a couple of pages on your Kindle and then you stop and you go, I don't actually remember. I read all the words, but I didn't absorb them. And you've got to go back.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
Just evidence that you cannot just, you can't multitask when you're reading.
That's right, yes. And especially, I tell you, when you're editing your own book for the 9,064th time, reading those words and they're just the same as they were last time. They do kind of gloss through your head, but then you're not reading. So,
Right.
It's like hearing but not listening, I suppose.
That is exactly what it is. Have we been premature before we
Well, perhaps, but that's about the daffodils. We're like daffodils.
we've yes, arrived way too early at peaked too soon.
All right, well then let's jump into our catch-up corner. So, this is where we talk about things that happened in the world and our world previous to. Actually, sorry, we probably should do the buy me a coffee thing as well, right?
I think we should roll that in now that we've dropped the roasting.
Yeah, right. That's right. So last episode we announced that we're no longer doing roasts or character assassinations. But that doesn't mean you can't buy coffees anymore. So you still can buy coffees, which is what Simon Bonds did. So thank you very much, Simon, for your 3 coffees. So much appreciated.
In a weird little way, I was kind of disappointed I mean, obviously I wasn't disappointed about having to spend an hour coming up with a character assassination, but Simon Bonds does have that name that would have been, I think, fair game.
It does have a ring to it, doesn't it? Yes.
And if Simon Bonds should ever open a sweet shop specialising in a particular confectionery, one would hope it would be called Simon Bonds Bonbon Shop.
Bonds. Yeah, of course it would.
Yeah.
Of course it would. All right.
But thank you very much, Simon, for those 3 coffees. That helps to pay us. It helps to pay us. Doesn't pay us anything. It helps.
No, keeps the lights on.
It contributes towards the cost of operating the podcast, hosting, and other such tedious stuff.
Believe it or not, this cost a fortune. Anyway, thank you very much. And if you want to be like Simon and donate to our cause, it's buymeacoffee.com/middle-aged, and there you can show your appreciation and tell us that you want this to keep going.
Yes, or pay us a lot and then tell us to stop going.
That's right. I mean,
something in the region of, I don't know, 500,000 coffees each would definitely do it, wouldn't it?
That would keep us off the air for a while.
You'd never hear from us again. Promise. That is honestly, we'd be gone.
Yeah. Fair. I would probably come back in a different guise, but yeah. So that's the figure to beat: 500,000 coffees.
Elon, if you're listening.
Yeah, just drop in the ocean for him.
Yeah, nothing's it's pocket change, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Well, so also the lovely Sue talked to us on socials, and last time I can't remember when it was, but we were talking about a sort of forced service charge.
Tipping, yes.
Tipping. It was last time, wasn't it? I think
you're right, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so apparently Sue went to a wedding in London and went to the bar to buy drinks. But the what she was charged was more than what it said on the menu. And this is something I've absolutely never heard of before. Like a bar, presumably either in a hotel or a pub or something. And they were adding a service charge for pouring the drinks.
This is commonplace in America, is it not? To just go into a random bar, any bar, you have to pay a tip, don't you?
I mean,
in America,
I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've been to a bar in America, but maybe they do. Yeah, maybe this.
I think they do, and I think this is something that maybe this is just another element of American culture that is seeping into us, because it all sort of lands in London. Everything emanates from London, doesn't it? It sort of blossoms outwards. So if you get any terrible ideas, they start off in London and then spread out across the country.
Yeah.
But can you imagine going into your local pub and then having to? I mean, it's not as though a pint of lager isn't expensive enough. But I mean, without paying a tip.
But I mean, like, isn't it just their job to pour the beers? Like, seriously, like, that's what the pumps are there in front of them. They just stick the glass under, pour. Like, how, I don't understand how there can be an additional charge on top of that. Like, they didn't carry it to the table. They didn't, you know.
It's do you know what I don't understand is why it's certain sectors where tipping is expected. I mean, if you go into a supermarket, it's full of people there who aren't paid a lot of money. And if you ask someone where, you know, a certain product is, and that person, you know, rather than just saying, oh, aisle 18, they actually take you to the specific shelf where that product is. They've you know, they've helped you out.
They've gone out above and beyond. Yeah.
You're not slipping them a fiver, are you? there is no. They're doing that purely just because that's their job.
It's their job, yeah.
No expectation. But why is it certain? It's hospitality, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not very hospitable if they're making us feel obligated to give them extra money.
I mean, that's just pissing me off. I mean, it's like put it into the price, right? Don't add. This is the thing that pisses people off. You see a price, you think, okay, that's the price, and then it's more than that. No, well, just put it in if you're going to automatically charge it.
I've noticed that I don't go to restaurants, but I do remember at some point in recent years I've been to one, and they put on a 10% what they call discretionary service charge, right? But they put it on, and then you've got to ask to take it off, right?
Yeah,
rather than the other way around. So it's like, well, hold on a minute. If it's discretionary, don't you ask me? And then I decide if you're worthy of 10%. And actually you're not, because your food was overpriced, and the service was shocking.
It needs to be opt-in rather than opt-out. Yeah. That's just taking the piss. Like, because obviously most people won't want the embarrassment of saying
that's what they rely on, isn't it? Because it makes you sound, and I bet you they have a certain reaction that
I'm going to spit in your food next time, you know.
Well, they talk really loudly. Oh, you don't think that our staff are worthy of a modest tip?
It's only £2, you tight bastard. Yeah. Well, anyway, so but I mean, I'm not averse to paying for service, but just put it in the price. Don't pretend that it's not there and then add it on later. That's just weird.
I think the day that tipping becomes the norm in a British pub will be the day I start going to a pub. For sure.
Can you imagine? The bloke slams your pint down in a puddle of beer and throws the coins into the puddle, and then you're going to give him
your not very clean glass is it's
no, it doesn't really follow.
Can you imagine if you could go and have a conversation with your 18-year-old self, right? And you could go and say, listen, right, young Adam, do you know the most he would probably want to know, right, older Adam, what is the most spectacular, amazing fucking thing about the future? And you go, people pay £7 for a pint of lager.
Yeah, they do.
Young Adam will be like, no.
Fuck that.
But it is all of the things that you £7. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous. £7 for a pint, or a glass of basically water.
Yeah.
Fizzy
insane.
Water that's got some hops and shit in it. But it's insane.
And that's not even in an airport. It's double that in the airport.
This is now getting up to normal pubs now. You can pay £7. So if you're going to put, what would they charge? 10%? An extra 70 pence on, and you're not going into a pub for a pint, are you?
No. I mean, no. That's So over the course of the evening, I mean, I suppose what does it say? We should be in the pub industry.
Well, they're all shutting down. I mean, listen, we're in sympathy. The cost of running a pub is, people are going less and less, aren't they? And it's you can't smoke and
that's right. Yeah.
All the other stuff that you can't do, and it's just I didn't realise how much they have to pay to have like live sports, on TVs.
Oh yeah.
The average Joe pays 50, 60 quid a month subscription. Pubs pay hundreds of pounds, hundreds and hundreds. So the cost of just opening the door and you've got to sell a lot
True
of
story,
beer.
yeah. Fair enough, I suppose.
We do have some empathy for publicans, but
yeah, don't take the piss with hidden charges.
Yeah, just keep it real, and we can decide. Yeah, there we go.
All right. So our pre-rage is over.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about our main topic then. So this episode, we are, as we said, enraged about publishing and all of the sort of booky, authory things included in that, right? So we'll just, I suppose we'll sort of start at the beginning. So as we said, right, you might have an idea for a book rolling around in your head. And, you know, a lot of people will have, right? Like, oh, that'd be a great idea for a book. And you might think that one day when you have time, you'll get around to sort of writing it. But I suppose this will either put you off or put you on. So there's a lot of things to avoid, I reckon, at this stage of your author career.
Yes.
And one of them...
Some might argue listening to us would be one of them.
Yeah, well, quite possibly. Quite possibly. So, but especially though, right? You see a lot of things like if you do a search for this, you know, Facebook or even on Google, right? You will see a lot of things that are courses, writing courses, and it seems like every man and his dog is flogging writing courses. This is not a writing course. This is just general advice, I think, or general rage.
I think it's the whole thing, isn't it? It's how to write you see these things, how to write a bestseller, how to write a book, a novel that Hollywood will,
you know, pick up,
will want to turn into a movie. All these sorts of really sort of clickbaity course type things.
They're clickbait for sure, stuffed with clickbaity crap, and but they want you to follow a formula. Yeah, basically, right? And it's, you know, you do this and you'll win. Cha-ka-ching. But obviously, that's bollocks, right? And I think we both follow a sort of, not a formula, the opposite of a formula. We like take that formula and throw it in the bin. And because if everybody who wrote a book followed the same formula, then every book would be more or less identical, and therefore, why would you bother? You know,
100%. In fact, I would go as far as to say, I would not be sitting here now. I mean, literally, would not be having this conversation if I had done a course or followed a formula for my first novel.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
because I don't think it would have had anywhere near the amount of impact it had if it had followed, and it was an absolute car crash of a book. It broke everything they tell you not to do in these courses. But ironically, that's probably why people liked it, because it didn't follow a formula.
Yeah. That's why I liked it, right? And that's why, So we don't want every single book to be the same. You want variety, and these, you know, even within the genre, like if you're sticking to romance or something, you still don't want every book to be exactly the same. Like those bloody Hallmark movies where, you know,
make the protagonist die of something.
Yeah, or it's got cancer and comes home for Christmas and
Jesus,
like it's, you know, meets the high school love crush, whatever, and get together. There's your book, right? Job done. But no, that's bollocks. Those formulas are just quite offensive to me. The whole concept of following some formula, like actually, it's I kind of have this in my head, like if something is all planned out and mapped out, and you sort of know what's going to happen, then basically what's the point in doing it? You know, because it's already done. It's just pointless. So it should be new, it should be fresh and weird and completely off the wall or whatever, right? So I think that a lot of the courses that, not every course, right? Maybe there's some good stuff out there in writing courses, but a lot of those scammy, spammy, clickbaity ones, they're just horrible. I think
the other element is that if you're writing the same book as everyone else because you followed this formula, why would you have any more success?
Right, exactly.
The chances are that you will just be a very small fish in a massive ocean, you will never gain any traction.
Yeah, I mean, you might sell a few copies, and then you'll, I suppose, later on we might mention you'll be told to absolutely shovel money into the furnace of Facebook advertising, and just watch it burn, and then barely make a penny over the top of that, so.
I think the problem is that people think, and I'm going to go right out the gates for this one. You will never make money on one book. You will never make a career.
Absolutely.
If you want to do it just for something to do, like a tick on a bucket list, absolutely do it. If you've got a story you want to tell, do it. But if you want to actually do this as like, as a career or a job or a way of making money, one book. Forget it. There's no point advertising it, no point spending any money on marketing. It will not be picked up by, the media. You will not get a call from Netflix. It just is not going to happen. That sounds really bad because it happens to some people, but some people win the lottery every week, don't they?
Exactly,
so,
right, yeah.
You might as well just save yourself the hassle and all the expectation and just buy a lottery ticket because,
there you go.
It's
save the work, right?
Yeah, but you do this for your own, gratification and just see your own book out in the world, and hopefully it builds, and you can start. You're selling basically when you write a book, you are, it's you, the author, that people are buying into, not necessarily just that book, and then you build yourself as an author.
That's very good.
This sounds like we actually know what we're talking about. We've gone really off brand. Should we get angry again?
Sorry. So there's a lot of these days. This is 2025, and there is a lot of AI bollocks being spread around, right? And I mean, this type of spammy scrap is new and weird, right? But it's that people think that the ChatGPT or similar will just write a bestseller for you.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it really won't, right? It's just like...
Let me ask you a question, if I may. And I think this sums it up perfectly. So, would you read a book if you knew, and we talk about a novel here rather than non-fiction, that it was completely written by AI?
No, God, no. I mean, that would... you might read one chapter and just to see what is this like, and then you would, and it would be very weird and wooden and repetitive and strange, right? So I suppose what the Joe public might think about AI and what the reality of AI is, right? It's not. It's a misleading term, right? Artificial
there is no
intelligence.
such thing, is there?
No, it's just numbers. So it's probability and numbers. And that can be useful in very many ways. If something is, I don't know, if you ask ChatGPT a question about, programming language or something that can be predicted, it will give you, it might give you a good response. It might give you a load of crap as well, right? But it will give you something, right? And there are many, many ways that it can be useful for research or whatever, right? But coming up with, maybe it could even come up with an idea, but it cannot make a sustained, 90,000 word book that is readable. It just won't.
So I've got a little comparison here, right? Because the one thing, so I'm going right out here with this. So, are you aware of these really, really lifelike sex dolls?
I got a couple in the back now. No.
But you know, the ones that they're ultra realistic.
Right, yes.
Now,
yes.
one would imagine that given the advances in AI and, robotics, we're probably 15, 20 years away from actually having an almost synthetic human that,
Quite
looks
possibly,
passable, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the question being, right, would you, if you are rolling around in bed with one of these devices, right?
Devices, yeah.
Are you having sex, or are you just using a very, very sophisticated sex toy?
Yeah, I think it's that. It's a posh wank, isn't it?
It's an expensive one.
Yeah, very expensive.
And this cuts both ways,
yeah.
isn't it? I mean, there could be a male equivalent for the ladies.
Yeah.
So it's not just, don't please just think this is men doing this weird shit.
Women
but
do
anyway,
things.
the point I was trying to get, when you talk of it like that, and you say to somebody, are you actually having sex if you're rolling around with one of these things? Or is it just a glorified wank? Well,
yes.
I reckon 999 out of 1,000 people will say, yeah, it's just, it's a sex toy, right?
Yeah.
And what's the difference? And the difference is emotion.
Right, yes.
So, and this is the thing that you cannot create, the emotion between two human beings, whether it's an author and a reader or a weird guy who likes to, you need that emotional connection. And it is not, you cannot... no amount of artificial intelligence can recreate that. It is, by its own definition, artificial.
Yes. And don't forget, right, it's just a calculation. Every question you ask, every response you get, it's a load of numbers being crunched. I mean, in impressive ways, yes, in vast quantities, like unbelievably billions and billions and billions of parameters being calculated in a fraction of a second. It is impressive, and what it can do is impressive, but it can't write a book.
It's a tool at the end of the day. And I think if you use it as such, it can be handy if you get stuck with a particular paragraph and you just want to
clean
get
up
it
the
tightened
grammar
down.
or something, or
It can be helpful. But if you've seen one of these adverts that says, write a book in 24 hours and publish a book in 24 hours, and then and Facebook and Amazon themselves are clamping down on this now because they don't want their shelves full of AI created crap. So if you'll see one of these courses and you're tempted to go with it, then don't waste your money. No, and
Absolutely.
People don't want to read it, I think, ultimately.
Of course not. No. I think that, I mean, you presumably could go and say make a chapter and put it all together into a book and publish it, but it would be crap.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I don't know, maybe people just want to fill up like scams, right? It's a scam. If you bought that book, you would be succumbing to a scam. You'd read it and you think, what the hell is this? Was the author on LSD or something? Like, just because this doesn't make any sense. It's fucking weird. Because it was not written by a human. So yeah.
There we go. So yeah, avoid any of these things or even, I mean, there are some of them will tell you that you use AI just to create your ideas. Amount of people, and this goes back to what I mentioned earlier, that the amount of people that you will encounter will say, I've got this brilliant idea for a book. And I guess this is aimed at those people who have the idea but don't have either the inclination or the determination, whatever it takes to sit and write,
for
an 80,000 word book.
Yeah.
So that is aimed at those people, but there's no substitute, is there?
No, I mean, that's it. It's all scam, right? So basically, just keep away from that stuff and don't be tempted by it. I think the scam is paying whatever 80 quid or 100 quid for that stupid course, right? Because it's a pyramid thing, isn't it? It's one of those. Oh, you'll buy this thing, and I'll tell you how to make money. that's never a good idea, is it?
I think ultimately with all these, it doesn't matter what it is. If somebody is selling you a solution that makes lots of money, you've got to go, well, if it makes lots of money, why are you selling it?
Why do you need the book? Why do you need? Yeah, exactly.
Because you're making lots of money, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
why would you need my
fortune
money?
tellers.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Right.
So
we have a lot to ground to cover here, don't we? I've just realised how much stuff.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Okay. So moving on then. So, right. Here's something that's sort of on our lips, I suppose. So there's people who think that if you're not traditionally published, as in you go to Penguin or somebody and they, sign you into a deal and then put your book out, and that's the traditional way. If you're not that, then you're not an author. Well, I think we can safely say that that's crap.
Well, it depends on what somebody defines as a proper author.
Right. I mean,
and I think there is this sort of tradition. Essentially what they mean is if you're not controlled by the publishing industry, then you are not.
Exactly.
You are not a proper author.
Yeah. And look, times change and things change. And I mean, all right, let's say you see a band play at a pub or something and they're really good. Would you say that they're not a proper band? Because
That's a very good way of putting it, yeah.
They don't have a CD on the shelf in, our price or whatever.
Wow. I don't think anyone has a CD on a shelf in our price anymore.
I suppose not. But I mean, but obviously they're a band. They're playing and you like their music. So yeah, they're a band. Doesn't matter whether they put out their music.
Are they a proper band though?
Yeah, right. That's the question, I suppose. So we obviously have not chosen the traditional route, and it's not because we tried and failed and therefore fell back on indie, right? I never even tried to go to a traditional publisher because I don't want to be caught in their trap, right? So
we should probably explain that what happens, because I understand a lot of people will not feel vindicated or validated as an author unless they actually sign a deal with a publisher and that publisher produces their book and it arrives on a shelf in Waterstones or wherever. That is their dream. Goal, yeah. That's what they think is what they need to feel like an author.
I mean, okay, that's what.
So should we run through that so people actually understand what that actually means to be a proper author in that context?
Absolutely right. So
you've written a book, right?
Oh yes, you've written a book already. So now you'll need to put that together with like a cover letter or something and send it to probably agents.
Agents, definitely.
Yeah, because the publishing houses won't deal with an individual.
Correct.
They will require to go through an agent, right? So now you need to probably spend, 6 months, maybe more, genuflecting and sucking up and researching agents, because you can't just drop a manuscript in the post. Yeah, those days are gone, right? So you'll need.
There's no Google. You don't just Google and then just send it off to the first three that come up. As I may have done at some point.
Right. Yeah. So you need to get to know these agents. You have to understand their particular business and models and whatever. And there might not just be one person at that agent. There might be different agents who will deal with separate things or whatever. So you'd need to spend a huge amount of time figuring out which one of them to aim your book at, right? So then you'll do all of that work, and that's not insignificant, right? That's a lot of work to do. And then you will send your thing and hope that person actually opens your email. So don't send it physically in the post, because that's straight in the bin.
They'll just throw that straight in the bin.
Straight in the bin. So so just hope that they get your email hope that they open your email, and then hope that they read past the first line, because they probably get thousands a day. Or a week at least, of hopefuls, and most of them may be, AI generated crap that they just want to throw out there and see what happens. And so, the fair play to the agents. They do have a hell of a job of filtering through crap to actually find something that, they're not doing this for the laugh or for the love. They're doing it to make money. That's their job, right? So their job is to filter through thousands and thousands of submissions and find something that's worthwhile, right? So, 1 in a million.
Which is why, how long would you wait after sending in your submission?
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's say that they like it. So, you're going to probably be waiting months for any kind of response.
Yes.
And
that response is more than likely going to be no.
Yeah, exactly. If they even bother. This sounds dismal, doesn't it? I know. Yeah,
and
I mean, you can see why we don't do this, right? But let's say that you're one of the lucky ones, and you get through to an agent, and he or she likes your book. And wants to take it further, right? So they're probably going to want more than just, maybe you haven't sent the whole book, maybe you've sent the first few chapters, right? Because they probably won't have read your whole book at that stage. So they'll want more, right? So then they'll request that. And then you basically, let's say you do that and they like it, and they want to start pitching that to publishers, right? So then there's more time while they go and do their bit and pitch that to various different publishers. Probably another many, many months have passed, and they're going out to all the different deals, trying to get someone interested, and then after that, trying to get a decent advance, like you're a debut author you've never heard of. It's very tough to break into that thing, right? So what would happen next? I suppose, let's say that a publisher did like it and did pick it up. You're 1 in a million at that stage.
Do you know what? Even just listening to this,
I know, it's depressing.
It makes it just makes my skin crawl. It's just awful. The whole thing. Who the fuck wants to put themselves through that?
Yeah.
And I know you haven't finished it. Sorry, I was just jumping in. I was just wanted to make the point that it's even this far, you've still not got your book out there.
Yeah, and let's say probably 6 months maybe have passed. You wrote the end 6 months ago, and now you've spent a huge amount of time researching and emailing and having phone calls maybe, and just a lot of disappointment where you got a load of nothing. And days go by, and you're sitting there by the post box, refreshing on your email, and nothing happens, right? So anyway, you're one of the lucky ones. You push through all of this, and then you get a deal from a publisher. Well, so I think that deal is going to be significantly less than you expect, money-wise.
Significantly zero.
Yeah, exactly. People think, what's that Harry Potter woman? What's her name? J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
This is a point where we should talk about misconceptions, shouldn't we?
Yes.
Because I think there are a lot. And I think if you go in, I would say we've all been guilty of this, because we think, well, what happens if suddenly Hollywood does make this book into a movie, right? That will make me a millionaire, right? Well, chances of it being, this is the thing, right? You have to be realistic about the odds of anything happening. And it's good to have a dream, maybe a daydream, but it needs to be tempered to reality.
Yes.
The reality is that it's very unlikely that for a debut author, a publisher is going to give you any money. Yeah. And if they do, it will only normally be a few thousand. Yeah.
And you would be lucky to get that, right?
But that's not free money, is it?
No, it's what they call an advance. So that's like a loan, effectively. alone from what they think they will make back on sales. So they'll give you a little bit of cash, but I think you're then expected to do a lot of the marketing promotion yourself, right?
Yep.
And tour every fucking bookshop in England and possibly further afield, and go and sign books and be around and then go to be on podcasts. And
I'm sure I saw a stat, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it sounds like fair. It's like 99% of the typical marketing budget of a publisher is spent on 1% of the authors.
That makes sense, yeah.
Basically, all of the like, if you've got a household, a lot of celebrities now have books ghostwritten. They're already a known quantity, aren't they? So, they're having to break through. So they're going to spend more of their market. They have a finite marketing budget, so they're going to spend it on the more obvious candidates, the ones that already have a profile.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're not going to get your little book is not going to get any of that money. So you're going to have to do the hard yards yourself, which kind of, makes you think, well, why do I need a fucking publisher?
Exactly.
Doing all myself. They're taking a big chunk of my money. Yeah. And this brings us on to what I think is the driver for people who are willing to put up with this crap. And that is to see their book in an actual bookstore.
That's it. That's
their validation, isn't it?
Yeah. You go into random airport Waterstones or W.H. Smith's and you go and stand by your book and get a picture and a selfie. And
yes.
Yeah.
And you've sold your soul and several years of your life for that moment. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah,
but the reality is you're not going to be walking into Waterstones and seeing big posters and tables full of your book. You at best will find it spine out on the bottom shelf, tucked away.
Yes.
And you will probably sell 1 or 2 copies a month from that branch.
Yeah. But you've already been paid.
Yeah.
So don't expect to get any more royalties until that advance has been well and truly paid off, right? So
it's a 7-year contract typically for a traditional publishing deal. So if they give you $2,000 up front, in many instances, that advance is not what we call earned out, i.e. you don't make enough royalties to actually surpass the $2,000 that you originally got. So they don't ask for it back, but
there's probably also the cost of actually printing and editing and everything, and the cover design. There's a huge amount of other work that happens just to make a book into a book, right? So cover designers, editors. Oh God, should we even say the word? What's the word?
I know what you're going to say here. Sensitivity readers and editors.
Sensitivity readers.
I've got a very specific gripe about this. Because I've seen what happens when a really good book goes through a sensitivity reader or editor. Okay. For anyone who doesn't know, a sensitivity editor is there who's to basically turn a book that might be spiky and a bit edgy and have a heart and a soul and, blood and guts, and basically turn it into a turgid piece of crap.
Yeah.
That is their job as best as I can tell.
Rip
Essentially, they want to take away any... And if you think about the cause of offence, how can you avoid offending anyone and everyone? Yeah. You just cannot do it. So why bother? I mean, you're not going to be... Even using language that might be considered offensive, in context, that's what makes a character. Surely.
Exactly. So
if you take that away, what are you left with?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine Clement if he wasn't allowed to swear?
Oh, it goes back to the robot sex thing, doesn't it? Yeah, right? Because ultimately, if you just want something that's just going to fulfill a function, that is what a book is. Once you've taken away all the rawness and the edginess and the stuff, it is just a tale then, isn't it?
It's a story. mindless, empty, boring, monotonous. Like, why do you want to read that? No. So imagine, I think that's enough.
I'm going to give you a thing here, right? An example, and I know this to be true, is that a scene involving a nun, right, a proper sister, like elderly 70-year-old. What's a chief nun called?
Mother
Top
Superior.
Nun. Mother Superior, right?
Top Nun. That's a
Turn to
Tom Cruise film. That's it.
Now that I'd watch. Now the nun turned to, I think it was a police officer or someone, and the police officer asked this nun a question, this Mother Superior, and the Mother Superior said, "I don't know, but can you stop being a see you next Tuesday?" Right?
Yeah.
And that's so out of context. And it's so shocking for a Mother Superior to use that word and that language, that it would, as a reader, that would blow you, wouldn't it? Blow you.
Yes. Imagine the reviews. Yeah.
But I think in context that would be a really powerful.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's obviously there for a reason, right?
It's going to punch you between the eyes, right? If a Mother Superior was pushed to a degree that she was breaking for some whatever reason, maybe it's a police investigation, whatever, and that she used language like that, that is visceral. It is going to jump off the page. But a sensitivity reader would almost certainly remove that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, can't say that.
And therefore, you've lost that little nugget, that moment. If you think about all the great films you've ever watched, right, all of them are just basically a collection of moments, aren't they?
Exactly, yes.
And it's those moments that you remember and that make you love that particular film. And whatever the film is, whatever the genre, there will be moments in a film that you go, that's the bit that made my heart sing or made my stomach drop or whatever it may be.
Yes.
A sensitivity reader in fiction is there to remove that.
Yeah, what job. I mean, why has that come to be a thing?
We're probably exaggerating. I'm sure that there are perfectly good people who do this with good intentions, and it may not be, but I think it may not be as bad as we're perhaps. I mean, we're exaggerating for comedic effect, perhaps, but it's at the end of the day, I've poured everything into a book. I want that thing out on the shelves for people to read as I intended. Yeah. I don't want people's mucky fucking hands all over it, telling me what is right, what is wrong, what I can and cannot say. I want my book to succeed or fail on its own merits.
Exactly. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
I got a bit ranty there.
Fair enough. It's important. So that alone, is enough to put me well off. Never mind all the other crap, right, that we just said. But that I couldn't. I couldn't put books through that. It's just put it through a mangle and squeeze out all the goodness, right? And just horrible. Not. So it's, I don't know what we're up to, like 6 months or something. Let's say that the publisher picks it up, and you think, "Wow, great! I'm going to get a book now, aren't I?" No, probably another year to 18 months of delay before. Yeah. Right,
it's got to be scheduled, isn't it? It's got to fit in with launching and all this sort of stuff, and
all the other books around it, and marketing budgets and plans and whatnot, and all the design and editing. So by the time that first book lands on a Waterstones shelf, it could
Bottom shelf.
Yeah, could be 2 years or more even since you wrote that. The end.
That is not unrealistic at all, I would say.
Yeah. And Jesus Christ, I can't remember what I did yesterday, right? Imagine trying to remember, the plot and talk about it like it's fresh in you, because you're going to have to do all that marketing, right? You're going to have to be excited about that book that you wrote 2 years ago. I can't remember the book I wrote.
And I would also stress at this point, you've probably not been given an advance. So you've probably poured in thousands of hours doing rewrites, revisions, all this pandering to whatever the latest editor wants you to do. And you've made no money at this point. So you get it out on the shelf, and after 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, think about that, 2 years. I think I can go back and say I'd written 3 books and published.
Oh, definitely,
at least that. And I think most authors, indie authors these days, will publish 4 or 5 books within that period.
100%.
So you've waited 2 years, and you've at that point, you've not actually sold a single book.
Yeah, brutal. So
we're really selling this, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I think you can understand now, perhaps, why we don't go that route and why It's independently published. Let's say that's what we are. So
we don't like that term, self-published.
No,
actually. I think
don't like that because it's
picky.
like it's a bit weird. Yeah, it sounds sort of
Heath Robinson, doesn't it? It's very just amateurish.
Yeah. So we're not that. But look, we get absolute control. We do our covers. We get our editing done. We have beta readers.
Marketing, advertising.
Yeah, it's all absolutely within our control. If we want to write a full page of fuck repeated, that can be included. If we want to offend somebody, we can if we want to, right? So there's no control about that. So we have complete control. We can decide when we're going to release a book, like
yes, or not.
Yeah.
No deadlines. I say no deadlines. That's not strictly true, is it? Because you've got stuff to get sorted, editors, beta readers, all the other. You've got to do. You've got to be organised. But ultimately, there's no financial penalty if you go over your deadline.
No, exactly. Like,
just as well.
Yeah, and so we can put a book out. Like I've finished. I've decided I'm finished. I've done all of my due diligence. I've designed the cover. I've done the blurb. I've done everything right. Edited and spell checked and whatever. Right. So I can just say I'm going to release it, and I do, and that's it. It's out in the world within probably an hour.
This is the bit where I think it actually this is the bit where we've talked a lot about the negatives, but we should probably have a moan about the positives. Can we moan about positives?
I'm sure,
because I think this is the bit that people don't get, okay, because all they see is the Waterstones world, right? And that's where they want their book. But who isn't motivated by money?
Exactly.
The rich, I'm guessing.
Right, yeah.
But for most people, right, having extra money is a good thing. And actually, I would say the validation that people prefer is money in their bank account every month, right?
Helps.
People actually saying, I'm going to pay money for that thing you created, and I'm going to read it, right? To me is validation, because they're handing over something that they've had to go to work to earn their time, and they're giving it to you. So it's and if lots of people do that, then that's amazing, right? That's validation.
Absolutely, yes. Just seeing, going to Waterstones and seeing the book on the shelf. I mean, if that does it for you, fair enough. I don't care about that. My book is not in Waterstones. Although it might be. Somebody said they might. I think someone told me they did find a book in Waterstones of mine. But
I found a copy of one of my books in a charity shop once. That was quite a moment. Yeah. Because I think there must be some because they must get so many secondhand books. That they must have some editorial, there must be some selection process going on there. So I was quite chuffed to see that.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Fair enough. But otherwise, my preferred thing is when on the 29th of every month, Amazon give us our payday.
Yes.
There you go. That's the ticket.
And that's the other thing, isn't it? That we get paid monthly, whereas if you have a traditional publishing deal, you get paid every 6 months.
6 months, yeah. And with that massive delay, right, of 2 years since you actually wrote the thing.
Should we tell people how much we actually get? Not the actual specific numbers, but how much we make per book that we may or may not sell.
Per book, yeah. It's a hard number to come up with, right? Because of all the different sort of inputs to that number, right? But yes, I think it's about an average of
for a $2.99 book. Retail $2.99 book.
Yes.
Kindle book we're talking here, aren't we?
Yeah. Kindle book that costs you punter $2.99. I think that we might get about £1.30, something like that, roughly on average across the whole thing, right? And I say it's hard to nail down because of a thing called Kindle Unlimited.
This is probably what we should separate the two out, shouldn't we? Because I think for a straight sale, we get 70%
right
of the retail price minus, I think, something like P for
with the delivery,
which is a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even though it's a digital delivery, we still get charged 8p for that. I think 8 or 9p, depending on the size of the file.
Yes.
So that you can work out the numbers on a £3 book. We're making 70%. So that's a couple of quid, give or take.
Yeah.
But KU, yes, that is people. Do you think everyone knows what KU is?
Maybe not, right? So Kindle Unlimited is what it means, and that's a service. I suppose it's kind of like Netflix for books.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
So you pay a set amount per month, and I can't remember what that is.
Tenner? I think it's about tenner.
Right. Did it go up, though? Don't know. I don't.
It's there or thereabouts, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. So you pay that every month, and on that subscription, that means you can have your pick of any book that's in the Kindle Unlimited program, and that's not insignificant. There are millions of books in that program, right? Yeah. And what that means is that it's a great deal. I think if you're an avid reader, you should be on Kindle Unlimited, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant service, right? And what it means for us is that we get paid per page read. So if you read one page of my book, Need a Little Time, I think I get something like 0. Fire it in. I might get something like 0.00003 pence.
Yes.
Something like that.
It works out,
it's a tiny, tiny, tiny amount per page. And it fluctuates every single month.
Yes, it does.
And it goes up, and it sometimes goes up. Mostly it seems to go down.
But to address, because it's one of the most common questions I think we're asked is, what is the difference between somebody buying one of our books and or reading it on KU? And I think we're both of the mind that we don't care. We're just grateful that someone's actually consuming what we've written. So the short answer is we make slightly less money if you use KU, but fuck, I mean, just read. The fact that anyone wants to read what we've written is paramount. The how and the why and whether we're making £1.70 or £1.30 is zero
doesn't
relevance.
Really matter, And I tell you, the massive benefit of KU is that effectively to the reader, it's free. Because, it's bundled in, you just pay your 10 quid, whatever. You don't think about it after that. So every book that you pick up is like effectively free. And that means you haven't heard of Adam Eccles. So I don't know if this is going to be good. It might be a load of shit, right? So, but because it's free, I'm going to pick it up and look at it because it looks interesting. And I'll give it that chance because, why not, right? If I don't like it,
it's risk-free for the reader, isn't it?
Exactly.
Which I think is why it works for indie authors spectacularly well.
Very well,
we would say, right, I mean, we talk about numbers in this business. There are some authors who have tapped into particular genres that are massive on KU, on Kindle Unlimited. There are certain genres that I think some of this sort of more raunchy romance stuff, bodice ripping, type stuff, and where you can write a fairly shortish book and turn them around in 6-8 weeks. These become there is a massive appetite for the particular stuff, so people can write and feed this appetite. But there are some authors who will make 6 figures plus just in Kindle Unlimited. That's how big it is.
Yeah.
Not us, I was stressed.
Yes, not us. Definitely not. But wouldn't that be nice? But no. But
then we'd have to write bodice ripping, 50 Shades type books.
I don't know if I can.
I will actually. It's a good point. Just as a slight sidebar, because we talked about this. It's a good kind of segue. I don't know. I think we've finished KU, but I would like to segue in here to the whole review element because we mentioned 50 Shades.
Right.
Because this is the one thing that you think, right, okay, you've done your work, you've got your book out there. Then you have to be ready for other people to have an opinion.
Yes, and they will.
Right off the bat, let's talk about Goodreads, because I don't think we mentioned that.
Oh, Christ, yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't know if anyone is actually au fait with what Goodreads is.
Goodreads was like a sort of web service where I suppose you sort of collate your reads and make a catalogue of what you've read and how you felt about it. There are loads of these sort of things, like there's Letterboxd for movies and
all of that. Smarter and that,
all of those things. IMDb, And so this is about your books, and but a while ago now, Amazon purchased Goodreads as a whole and sort of incorporated that into the Amazon world, and so obviously then we're on Amazon, so obviously we're inherently in Goodreads, but I think it seems to be a bit tainted, doesn't it? The whole Goodreads, the people who review on Goodreads specifically, so that's different to.
Do you know what? I can detect you're being really hesitant here, and I would say that's probably for good reason. You do not want to upset the Goodread gods. Yeah,
right. I don't. I completely forgot it existed, to be honest, and I don't typically look there for reviews.
No, it's not for authors to go in there and look at reviews of their own book, because you will come out of there
crying,
never wanting to write another thing again. It is brutal.
Yeah. It feels like people are especially mean, let's say.
Yes. I think there is, although they would say they're just being honest, I think to put it into context, right? Imagine if you're in a relationship, okay, and your partner, after every sexual liaison, posted a brutally honest review on Facebook, right?
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine that? And they pointed out not all the good stuff you did, right, but all of the negatives.
The bad stuff, yeah.
Can you imagine if that happened? That is the equivalent of an author going to look at Goodreads.
Well, now, yes, okay, that makes a lot of sense, yeah, and fuck that, absolutely no thank you.
Unsatisfactory, 1 star. Did not finish.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, so I mean, that's an opportunity. There should be I don't know what would you call that?
A review system for shit.
Yeah, shag reviews.
Rate my shag.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Oh my God. But would you want to go on there and look up?
No.
Maybe your own, not only your own, but
before you go on a date.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, if you go in there and now, like, the person you're going on a date with has got like 150 positive reviews.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're going, okay, enthusiastic, and obviously, I don't think it's going to work, is it? Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, we digress.
Scrap that idea. Right. But yeah, so the people who just leave those 1-star reviews, oh man, and I think we become thicker skinned over time, right? But the first time I got a 1-star review, I was genuinely upset about it. I can't remember what it was now, years and years ago, right? But and especially because my first book was sort of semi-autobiographical as well, and it felt like that this person was just
insulting you personally.
Yeah, exactly, and like, yeah. So it was upsetting, but these days I just sort of gloss over them.
I don't even read mine. I'll read them for the first week after a release, just to make sure there's no sort of, everyone's going, oh, page 8's missing or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the trouble is for this, and this is just human nature, you can have 999 people say lovely things.
Yes.
But you will remember the one person who says, this is shit, do not read it, right?
Yeah.
Or this author is a talentless waste of oxygen, and that's the type of stuff. And I think the problem is as well is the more popular your books become, the broader your audience, and then that's when you start to see the more negative reviews. And what I find frustrating and this is worth pointing out if you're thinking about reviewing something, right? It's just firstly ask yourself, was this thing, whether it's a piece of music or a book or a movie, was this produced for me? Okay, am I the target audience for this thing?
Yes, right.
And this brings me on to the 50 Shades element, because what annoys me about that is the amount of people that review that book who are not and never were intended as the audience, right?
Yeah, there you go.
As the target audience. It fulfills a very specific niche market. What was a niche market? I think they call it mummy smut, don't they? That's what it's known as now.
I don't know.
But if you're into mummy smut, if that's your thing, right, then that book is brilliant. And I know there are millions of people who love it. Well, there must be, because it's sold in...
Yeah, it was sold in millions. It turned into movies.
Yeah. So clearly not everyone hates it, right? Yeah. But there seems to be an eagerness for people to read it so they can then be snooty about it and just be horrible and, the utter tripe. I cannot believe that this was ever turned into a film. Yeah. Fine. Well, it was. So fuck off, Miriam. Your view doesn't count.
Exactly.
Why do you feel that you need to come on and be negative about a book that was not written for you? You're a 62-year-old bloke, okay?
Right,
this is not yours. Leave it alone. Your opinion does not matter.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. It'd be like remember the Haynes manuals you used to get for your car?
Yeah.
Imagine you read that and you're looking for a fiction novel about, I don't know, ice cream vans or something, and you read them. Well, this book had nothing to do with it. Ice cream. It's just, it's not. That wasn't the purpose of it. So that's a good point.
Be selective, right, about whatever you consume, right? Because if it's not what you like, it may be that it's not what you like. Okay, just as simple as that. It doesn't mean that the thing that you consumed is bad. Just you did not like it.
Exactly. And I suppose this adage stands as well, right? If you can't find anything good to say, well, maybe just don't say anything.
Never a true word, or at least be constructive. Just calling somebody I've read. I mean, I do read from time to time reviews for other authors' books, and I can actually feel their. I'm not going to say pain, because it's not pain, but I certainly feel their angst when I read some of the things. Like somebody will write a review, read 3 pages, utter crap, hated it, 1 star. And you think, well, you've read 3 pages and on the basis of a 400-word novel, and you've trashed it. Yeah. That's your opinion again. It doesn't matter because you haven't actually read it. But they feel the need because they were maybe having a bad day or whatever to do that. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't benefit anyone, does it? That review. All it does is it makes the author feel crappy and makes that person who read it probably feel good about themselves for about 30 seconds. Yeah, because they've managed to vent. But
have a little mini wank. Yeah.
Micro wank.
Yeah, it's everything we're doing is we're humans, right? We're not AIs. We do have emotions, and there was a lot of work put into making a book and whatever. So just think about that before saying it was a total bag of shit, right? I mean, if it genuinely is, I suppose fair enough, right? But
But you can tell what makes a bad book. A bad book is that where there's lots of grammatical mistakes, where there's poor characterization. It's all subjective, isn't it? At the end of the day,
absolutely right. Look at bananas taped to walls. People think that's art, and other people don't, right? So it's all.
But this is I suppose if there is one downside to being an indie author, is I think we get way more where people are way more critical of what we do than they are with, because I've read many and many trad published book that has had typos and spelling mistakes and stuff. Yeah. Nobody's emailing Stephen King to say that's you've used the wrong context for a particular word. Nobody's doing that, are they?
Yeah,
or
right. Exactly.
That thing that you said was factually correct wasn't, because I know, because I am English or whatever it may be.
Right.
Right. Nobody's doing that. But one little thing that we do wrong, and we will get it gets highlighted, and it's because we're amateurs. I think that's the sort of thing I need to.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, right? If we've made a mistake, particularly if it's a factual mistake, I'd rather know than not so we can correct it. But
sure.
I think we are just held to a higher standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe just people feel that they can tell us more.
That's it. We're more approachable, perhaps, I suppose, than we are, right? So, here we are on a podcast bearing our souls. So there's
our
that
souls.
as well. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I heard bearing our souls. What?
Our souls.
Right, thank you.
Right, just to clarify that.
Next week's episode.
That's a different yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
right, so reviews. That's something else you're going to have to put up. I mean, we could have probably run this episode for about 3 hours. I
reckon, yeah, at least, yeah, and then do another one as well. But yeah, it's so we're getting to the end of here, right? So, I think that's more or less it, right? There's a lot of one thing I find odd about the whole romance genre, which. Not romance, the bodice ripper ones.
Yes. Mummy smut.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people shagging billionaires. You ever noticed that, right? There's so many books about the billionaire, whatever. And I think there's only a few hundred billionaires in the world as it stands.
Let's think about who the more popular billionaires and maybe ladies and perhaps some gents. Do let us know if these are the billionaires that you would like to shag. We have obviously Mr. Musk.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett.
Oh, yeah. He's getting on a few.
I think he's 80-something. Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Just looks weird, doesn't he? I think.
I mean, I'm sure there's people into that, but yeah.
Who else got? Bill Gates.
Bill, yeah. He's getting on, yeah. I think he's divorced now, isn't he?
Yes, I think he's. Yeah, that cost him a few quid, didn't it?
So he'll be up on the market if you're interested.
I think he's with someone now, isn't he?
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, ladies. He's spoken for.
Taken.
But none of these men, right?
Are jumping off the page, are they?
They're not the smouldering sort of seductive caricatures we see in these novels.
Books, yeah.
But it's fantasy, I suppose, isn't it? That's the whole thing.
It's fiction, yeah, fair enough. I just thought it was funny that there are so many.
There are a lot
about
of them.
Billionaires.
What do you think the millionaires are not getting a look in, or were they getting the second drabs?
It used to be okay to be a millionaire, but now you need to be a billionaire.
Yeah,
fuck's sake. Keep raising
I think
those
because
stakes.
Of inflation. I mean, so many people are actual millionaires now. That
I mean. Let's say if you won £1 million, £1 million pounds, you'd probably, buy a house.
Yes.
And then that's about it.
Yeah. You're not retiring, are you?
No. I mean, that's not enough to because if you've got a nice fancy house, well, there's ongoing upkeep on that,
right?
Yeah,
you need £1,000 a month just to run that fucking thing, don't you?
It's a fucking heating bill, right? So
don't get me started on council tax.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I suppose the stakes are higher now. A millionaire is just like, whatever.
I remember, just sidebar here, that there was an episode of what was supposed to have been the last episode of Only Fools and Horses. Do you remember it? Where they actually became millionaires.
Yes. Brilliant
and they
episode.
won £6.4 million. I think this was very early 90s, wasn't it? Or mid-90s, maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
So they ended up with 3.2 million each. And I remember that Dell bought this big old pile in the country and Rodney bought a luxury penthouse on the Thames. Are you thinking, now that 6 million wouldn't even buy you that flat, let alone anything else?
It's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bloody
so
hell.
being a millionaire is, there's nothing to write home about. Sorry.
I mean,
anyway.
I would, if somebody does want to offer £1 million,
you can go to buymeacoffee.com/middle-aged and buy 1 million coffees.
That'll sort us out for a little while, yeah.
I think that'd keep us going, yeah. God, we'd have to write a roast in the character assassination. I'd feel obligated, wouldn't you?
Write a whole book about that person, yeah.
Do you know what? Right, I'll put that out there now. We would both do that. We'll both write a novel about you if you drop 1 million coffees. Right.
Challenge accepted, eh?
Yes. I think, listen, I would say, just to round everything off here, is that if you want to write a book, do it with no expectations. I think both of us just did that purely because it's something we wanted to try, and the rest has just proved to be happy accidents.
Exactly, yeah. That it makes money every month is constantly a surprise to me, honestly.
Yes, that's the way to approach it.
Yeah, it's a lovely surprise, and it does, it gives you the feels like you get paid, and like, I just made up a stupid story, right? Come on. Seriously. It's weird, but it's lovely to know that people, actually somebody wrote a song about one of your books, didn't they? I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That's brilliant. Like, you've made it. You've made it.
Do you know what? And I'm going to say, this is going to sound, actually gives me the ick to even say this, because it's just the sort of thing that I would not want to hear. But genuinely, the money obviously is important, but the feedback and the good vibes and the general positivity and support you get from people that are actually essentially just complete strangers is fucking awesome.
It is, right, yeah.
And you can't buy that, right? It doesn't matter how successful you can spunk a load of money on marketing and all the other business, but for actual strangers to reach out and to say good stuff to you is just nice. It's amazing. And clearly we both need and want money, because we're not billionaires yet. But all the other goodness that comes along with it is massively appreciated.
Very much so. Yeah, we've done a couple of in-person events, and people have gone way out of their way across the country to come and see us, and that was amazing. Like, why on earth did you do it? I have no idea, right?
Probably need to do another one soon, I guess.
That's maybe, why not? It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
So, but I mean, I hope people weren't horrifically disappointed, is all I can say. But fair play to them for coming. Like, and it does mean a huge amount, and it's lovely. So so thanks everybody.
But I would stress, and this goes back to the very beginning, we only get those good vibes because we wrote more than one book, right? Sorry, that's 100%. That's just the way it is.
100%. Like, I mean, I'm writing book 9 now, but that's not like an end goal or something. That's just we're on the path, right? So
the road to nowhere, some might argue.
I think, like, if we completely stopped and retired or something, one day, the reads would sort of fizzle out, wouldn't they? They're just the money would.
I mean, people see things like Hitchhiker's Guide that's still still ride high, and people sort of assume, well, you'll make money forever. Well, you will make some money for a long time, but it will dwindle to beer money, but at some point, if you don't maintain the momentum, it's just and this is the best bit of advice that I've ever given anyone, I think, is when they say, how do you sell books? And the answer is, write more books, right? The only way you can sell more books is to write more books. It is as simple as that. No marketing, no silver bullets, no insider info. If you want to sell lots of books, you need to write lots of books.
100%, 100%. And keep going and keep up the whole rest of it, the marketing, the social presence, the everything, right?
Like that little Christmas donkey, keep plodding along, carrying Mary. God, I don't know how that got into my head.
Oh, dear. Fair play.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go.
That wasn't intentional. Should we have a happy ending?
Okie doke. So that's wrapped up. Let's have our happy endings. All right. So, what are you happy about?
Hallelujah. I have finally written the end on book number 19, The Fourth Clause. Honestly, this one has been painstaking for too many reasons that I can't be asked to bore anyone about. But it's taken me longer than any book I've ever written.
Really, you're right. Okay.
But it's actually turned out, I think, really, really well. I can't say that it's intentional, but it's finished, it's done, it's in the can. I've written the end. All I've got to do now is pull my hair out reading it 900 times for the editing. But you can't edit what you haven't written, so it's done. So I'm pleased about that, and I'm pleased that it's actually turned out to be a good book.
Excellent. Congratulations. So can't wait for that.
That's my genuinely an actual happy ending.
Yes.
That's that a spoiler? Don't know.
We don't know. Ooh, interesting.
We have to rewrite it now.
Right. Well, that's brilliant, though. It's such a great feeling to write that the end. I mean, it's not a literal the end, but
no, it's not. It's the story. It's told, isn't it? That's the bit that's the satisfaction.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Good stuff. So, do you know when we can expect to see that on the Kindle?
I would imagine next month.
Nice.
I'm not going to be any more specific than that. Well, and next month being March 2025, just in case anyone's wondering.
Good stuff.
But that's about 3 months later than I anticipated. So
fair enough.
But, it's life happens, doesn't it? And
it does.
It tends to be unpredictable as a rule. So it is what it is.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
But yeah, it'll be there next month. And so I think. Have you had an equally happy book-related moment? We've been very booky this week. Very
booky, yeah. So keeping it in the thing. So I am working on book 9, as I've said a couple of times now, and I'm really enjoying it because it's slightly different to the last couple of books. Have I said what it is? I can't remember if I have.
I think you did. Yes, I think you did.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's called Cold Heart October, and it's a book about, I'll just say a musician. Let's leave it at that for now. Well, it's set in Ireland. This is one set in Ireland. And I'm not going to say too much, but I'm working on, let's say, extras that will accompany the book. Ooh. And I'm just having a huge amount of fun with that. So,
is this a calendar of Adam Eccles in various poses?
Oh, you've given it away now.
Bollocks. Sorry, mate.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's something that's, I don't know how to say it without saying it, so it's just going to have to be a surprise, I think.
It is, yeah.
But you know what it is, right? But
I know what it is. So if anyone wants to send me money via PayPal, I'm willing to spill. I could be bought very easily.
Yeah. Couple of pints.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
3, maybe.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think it just will add a sort of extra element to the next book release, right? So hopefully that will be in May this year. I might push to June. I'm not sure yet. But I've got, I think, about a third of it written so far, roughly. As I say, I'm having a load of fun with this because it's a bit of comedy and a bit of emotion as well, and it's all good fun, right? So, but yeah, I've mainly been playing with these extras the last week or so. And just having a lot of fun with it.
And not writing.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
It's very easy to get distracted. That's the only thing, isn't it?
So I do need to get back to the actual
I once spent 2 entire days fucking around with fonts for a book cover. Seriously.
Yeah.
2 days. Whole days. Rather than actually writing the thing, I spent 2 days pissing around with fonts.
I've been.
We've all been down that rabbit hole, haven't we?
Oh yeah, and I've spent a lot of time making the cover for this book as well. But I think it's nice though.
It's a great cover. Yeah, it is a good cover.
So. But yeah, there's lots of rat holes in this whole publishing thing that you can get caught up into because we both have a sort of a background in design as well, right? So we do our own covers. People might not know that.
As a rule, do not do that.
Yeah.
Unless you know what you're doing.
Absolutely right. You see, I tell you what really, really puts me off a book. And this is what they say, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. But everybody does. And you see a cover and it looks like it was thrown together
on Word.
Word, or what's that thing?
Canva,
yeah. It's awful. And I don't mean that in a snobby way, but
objectively it is a terrible design.
Yeah. It just
I can never for the life of me understand how somebody can invest 1,000 hours, which is what it takes to create a finished manuscript of a novel, right? Yes. You've spent 1,000 hours and then you're going to spend 20 minutes on the cover.
Yeah.
But that's what people do. I mean, genuinely, that's what people do. And they might spend another 20 minutes writing the blurb, the description. The one thing that's going to sell this book that you've spent 1,000 hours on, you're going to spend 20 minutes on the cover, 20 minutes on the description, and then you sit there 3 months later going, why am I selling it?
Selling any books, yeah. Maybe she would put that in the other sections, though. Cover and blurb are massive elements to your marketing.
Particularly unless people know who you are, which for us, most people don't. So therefore, all you're reliant on is that cover and that blurb.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not exactly household names. So if you're doing that cover yourself, or you're not, or you're throwing your blurb together, bad.
I mean, I've seen people ask for advice about making their covers and things on author forums and whatever, and you give them advice, and then they say something like, "But I'm not a designer. I can't do that." And I'm like, you've just answered your own question, haven't you? Why are you fucking doing it if you're not able to do it? Right? That's like, I'm going to fix the engine in my car. Well, okay, you need to learn about, carburetors and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not a mechanic. Why are you fucking doing it then?
Take it to a garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, if you don't know your way around Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever, right? For the love of God, don't do your own book covers.
And of course, if you do want any further advice, you can just drop us a line.
Yes, you can.
When I say advice, I mean ideally about books and stuff. I mean, we are willing to field advice if you are curious about patenting a radical type of new sex doll, and you're looking for a name, and you think our creativity might come into play.
Jacinta or something, yeah.
But so how do people contact us? Yes, middlerage.uk/contact us. Just contact, isn't it? Yeah. And there is this has become a bit of a standing joke now, right? So since we put this contact form on our website, virtually everything is just, now the spam has gone down, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But so we both get these emails now when somebody submits something, or submits, and it's like, it's obviously spam, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. I don't know. I mean, I suppose you can't avoid spam these days. Simple as that. But yeah. So
it does get our hopes up, doesn't it? Just for a brief second. It's a bit like when I won't go down that particular rabbit hole, but it's when you receive an email thinking that's going to be good news, and it turns out to be just not news of any description.
Yeah, it's just bollocks. Oh, God, you wasted my time, right? Yeah, my phone beeped and my watch beeped, and I'm looking at spam.
But, so if you want to drop us a line, if there's anything specific you'd like to know about the publishing world or anything that we've discussed in this episode, then you can go do that. And we will do our best to answer. But please do not ask us to read manuscripts, right?
Oh, no. And give feedback on, like, what do you think? That's awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
I'm sorry. That is a fucking thing I did too many times. And in fairness, I did read some very good books, okay? So I'm going to put that out there right at the beginning. But I also read a lot of shit, right? And I don't have time to provide a critique of, it takes 8-9 hours to read a book, right? Which is a day. So I've got to give up a day of my life to read your book.
And then another day putting together the critique.
Yeah.
And then inevitably someone's going to read it and say, well, I don't think you're right. I don't like that.
Of course. Or they're deeply offended by you because you've been honest. Yeah. So it's a lose-lose, really.
100%.
So please don't send it. Don't ask our advice or ask us to read. Unless Actually, that's probably a thing, right? If you said send me £1,000 and I'll read it, and this will then become a service that somebody has to pay for.
Well, there are people who will critique and edit. What's it called? Development edit.
Yes.
Is it? I can't remember the phrase.
I think it's something like that.
It's development, basically. Yeah. So you've got an idea, you've written something, and then you think it's finished, but it's maybe not, right? So. I personally never needed to do that. We have a fleet of wonderful beta readers.
Yes.
I think between us, and maybe there's a lot of overlap in there as well, right? But people who will give us good, excellent feedback and fix all the problems that we.
I think also if it's very easy to become blinkered when you're writing, and you can't see a particular opportunity, like so you get stuck in a plot hole,
right?
Yes. You can't get out, and then somebody else comes along and they go, "Oh, there you go," and you think, "Oh, for fuck's sake, how could I not have seen that? It was so obvious." So that's when having people to read it is very, very useful, and I've benefited myself very recently on that front. So
for sure,
do share the love, but please don't send us manuscripts because we don't have time.
That's it. I mean, I have a day job and this and the writing. I kind of have 3 jobs, I feel like sometimes.
So essentially, yes, send us money or coffees, but do not send us manuscripts. That's about where we are, really.
There you go. So buymeacoffee.com/middle-aged if you want to show your appreciation. And I'll just say, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast in the player. Whatever player you use, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, subscribe. And that means that you get the download automatically fresh and hot from the oven as soon as we put it out. And it helps the sort of algorithm in the background to sort of push us out there further, right? So, and as well as that, do leave a star rating. And if you've got time, a review, and those things are free, right? If you buy us a coffee, lovely jubbly, thank you very much. But if you don't feel like spending money this month, then you can just leave a star rating, a nice 5-star. Yeah.
I think we've made our views clear on one side. Yes. If anyone's got this far and they're going to 1-star us, then you've got to question them. But
and don't do it for a joke, because it does hurt the algorithm.
But I don't think people. I think people underestimate how important it is for people like us to get subscribers, because that's basically what drives the fucking machinery of these platforms. So
it's all sort of self-fulfilling and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So leave a rating, leave a review if you can, and it helps to get us out there, right? And that's the plan. Get us out there.
Yes.
In front of people. Like I always say, you can have the best book or movie or podcast or whatever in the world, but if nobody knows about it, then it's worthless.
I mean, granted, we are a long way from the best podcast in the world. I mean, top 2 million.
I mean, look, I said, I think that the most podcasts fail or end after their sort of 5th or 6th episode, right?
Yeah.
And we're here at number 19, so must be doing something, right?
Well, people are listening, aren't they?
People are listening, yeah. And we've gone way over our 1 hour limit today. Just realised.
We should probably say goodbye, shouldn't we?
We should, yes. So, So do all those things. Say hello, buy us a coffee. Thank you very much for listening. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Till then.
Bye-bye.